Legal Talk, brought to you by the Cochran Firm and WTVY.
Hello and welcome to Legal Talk. I'm Andrew Finley and I'm talking today to Joe Lane with the Cochran Firm here in Dothan. And Joe, this was an election year and a lot of people were concerned about their constitutional rights. What are these rights and where do they come from?
Well, you're right. We just had an election, Andrew, and a big issue as far as people's decisions, a lot of them concern the Supreme Court nominee. And the Supreme Court is the one who enforces our rights. Now, what most people don't understand is that when they're talking about these rights, they're talking about the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. And the interesting thing is that those rights almost never were. And when you look back on the history of where the Bill of Rights came from, back in 1787, when the Constitution was drafted and considered by the delegates, there were no Bill of Rights as a part of that delegation, that proposed Constitution. And it was adopted by the states without any Bill of Rights. These are individual rights that we're talking about. And they were proposed, they were considered, but the delegates thought that they were not necessary. They were not something that needed to be a part of the Constitution. Now, in the winter, or actually in December of 1787, Thomas Jefferson, who wasn't at this convention, a constitutional convention, wrote a letter to James Madison and says it's a big mistake that we don't have this Bill of Rights. James Madison was skeptical of that, said no, we don't need the Bill of Rights. But by 1788, James Madison said, well, we need it, but I doubt the value of it. In 1789, and when the first Congress met, James Madison drafted amendments. There were 20 amendments that he proposed, 12 of which were considered or adopted by the Congress, and 10 that were approved by the states. But for that, we would not have the constitutional amendments. It took 2 years, and they were in limbo during all that time.
Wow, learned a lot. Thanks a lot. Joe Lane with the Cochran Firm here in Dothan. And if you've got a legal question, be sure to call the Cochran Firm at 673-1555.
Legal Talk, brought to you by the Cochran Firm and WTVY.